What is up, precious learners?
Learners,
My beautiful learners, how are you
can
all doing
you
today?
believe to learn that it's time?
That you're about to learn some things.
You're gonna
Hopefully.
learn. Hopefully.
Hopefully. That was the end of my sentence. I know it sounded like I was gonna say more, but I actually didn't have any more to say.
I love ending a sentence on the inflection that it sounds like you have more to say and then stopping.
And then you just stop, yeah. I think that's really good too. Let's see. We got about 14 people in right now. I imagine more will trickle in as it goes.
Welcome in, class.
But I was kind of thinking, like, since these
we're
learner
not
streams,
giving out tardy slips here at this class.
No, you can come in,
trickle in
whenever you want. You already paid for it.
Somewhat related. I last night had a dream that like a Hearthstone streamer that I watch a lot was my teacher, and he gave me detention
for not doing Hearthstone right.
It had nothing to do with Hearthstone. It was like I did something wrong in his class, and he was like, "You got detention, sorry, bud." He was like chill about. He was like disappointed that I had done the thing, but he was like, "I gotta give you detention. I don't know what you want from me."
It's one of those cool teachers that's like, it's just the rules. I don't make them, but
yeah,
I wish I didn't have to, but you did whatever the thing is what you did.
I did the thing. I don't remember what it was in the dream. It seemed minor, but I was like, dang, I was hoping this Hearthstone streamer would think I was cool, but he doesn't. And now he's giving me detention.
I had a dream last night that I had to pay taxes, but in order to do so, I had to go to like a DMV like place. But it was also like the inside of an airplane where you had to sit in like a seat next to a bunch of other seats with a screen on the seat in front of you. And then like it was just like a horrific experience of trying to parse this horrible machine and pay my taxes, and I couldn't do it, and I was freaking out. It was a bad dream.
That's metaphor. That's just commentary. That's your dream giving you commentary on the draconian US tax system.
Yeah.
That has been lobbied by tax software to remain complicated so that you have to use tax services.
That's what this stream is about.
And that's what this stream's about. You thought you were that the class streams were just going to be art related. No, we're going to teach you all about things that I've gleaned by sort of half watching Adam Ruins Everything clips.
Yeah, we're gonna really get into it today.
Yeah.
We're not gonna get into it today.
No,
we're just gonna have a nice.
That's into it as we're getting.
I was thinking, since there's typically like a much lower viewership, obviously, for this stream.
Yeah.
Because it's the nature of the Patreon. It's kind of like a small class.
Yeah, by the way, thanks again for giving us the money.
Yeah, thank you very much.
At this tier.
We love that for us and you, because of the knowledge that we're going to impart on you directly. But in this small format, I thought we hadn't done just like chat asks us what they want to know about.
Yeah,
like if there's anything they want to learn.
Open forum.
Or talk about, and then since it's so few people, we can have more like one-on-one.
We can just do it.
Responses to things.
I love that.
And then we can just sort of chill. Me and Nathan will chill, and we'll tell you how to do your art good.
Yeah.
We could even do like depending on what people are into, we could do like some critique as well if people have pieces.
Post your art in the Drawclass Discord, and we'll
go in there and look at it.
Freaking touch it up.
I'll go ahead and say right now, if you want us to look at it, go ahead and post it in that Drawclass Discord chat, and then we'll get around to it.
There it is.
Punch Frog has a question to start off. That's what I like to see.
Great.
I haven't drawn anything today.
Do
I know how to draw?
The question is tax stream when?
Tax stream when?
Just kidding.
We're gonna warm up.
Just do a little warm up. Warm it up. Oh yeah.
Here's a lesson about warm ups. That can be the first little lesson.
Okay.
I feel like a lot of people don't know how to warm up right, because they're like, I'm gonna warm up, and then they just like start trying to draw like a good piece of art.
No.
The warm up is all about speed and like quick iteration, I think. It's like I can get this guy.
Just reminding your muscles what drawing feels like.
And I'm literally just like not even thinking about where these poses are gonna go. I just am letting my hand and mind guide me. Maybe he's got on a big collar.
We're already getting some art in the Discord. I don't know.
Good.
You're leading the one. I'll let you decide when you want to get to that. But we've already got a very good Miku from Ian.
Heck yeah. I think we'll start with some questions, and then we'll go to the critiques after that.
Okay.
So Punch Frog said they had a question. Let's see what it is. As someone that literally 10 minutes ago just cut their finger, any advice on drawing with an injury, large or small? That's a tough one. I feel like you have to, work with different like hand positions you might not be used to, but it kind of should be okay. Well, it depends, I guess, a lot on if you're working digital or traditional.
Sure.
Because like since we're doing digital, it's more about arm movement than hand movement. So I can like grip this thing in like a weird way that I don't normally, and I can still kind of make it work, because it's really more about the motion of my whole arm when I'm drawing. But if you're doing like some real finger based stuff, that could be a lot harder.
That's rough city. And that's also, I mean, you're more likely to cut your finger if you're dealing with paper. I remember I used to do like my friends would have comedy shows, and they'd have me on like doing little doodles of like the different improv and stand-up sets people were doing, just like drawing ideas that they were referencing. And I remember one time I was just like real quick trying to flip pages because there was a lot going on. I just straight up cut my finger, did a little bleed right there.
Then what do? You give up.
Yeah, you give up or you power through. Those are the
that's all.
Yeah,
that's all you got.
That's interesting. Yeah, I mean, obviously, like, take care of yourself. If it's like a serious injury that like causes you pain anytime you work, it might be time for a break.
Yeah, that's also true. If it's like joint pain, or something like that, then you definitely need to take a break, do stretches.
I've been doing stretches.
They really help.
I've been doing these.
Oh yeah, I do this guy. I do this one. I do
this one. This one. This one.
The down one.
And then you can do individual fingies.
Yeah, you can
as
do
well.
The thumb grab and then down this way.
Thumb. Yeah. Like thumb like that.
Hand. Yeah. That one's good. There's a lot of good ones. Sometimes I put my hand. Oh no, my towel fell. My back sweat protector.
Oh, it came. How is it? Is it cooling fabric?
It actually like is.
That's cool.
Which is pretty impressive.
Fabric.
It's definitely helping. It's not like perfect, but
every little bit helps.
Less back sweat. I did see another question I wanted to get to. Bleischk said, my question is about filling in color after line work with a fill bucket and getting the fuzzy white line around the edge. Is there a better inker I can use, or filling in technique? And I've got multiple answers for that. There's actually a lot you can do to avoid that. So we will switch to a brush that will have that issue.
Yeah, it's in tight.
This will probably work.
Yeah.
So we'll just do like a quick, let's get some smoothing on. Just for the record, I usually like to, when I'm inking, work at 10 to 20% smoothing. just because it lets me go faster. And I don't have to correct lines as many times. Like, it gets what I'm trying to go for without the stupid little wiggles that digital art likes to have. So I do like doing that. So we'll just get like a quick face here. Make sure we close all the lines.
This is a friend. This is a friend.
Close all the lines. Maybe they're a little worried about how this is gonna go.
You didn't close the line on the eye. Boop. There you go. Yeah.
So give them a little mouth.
Like, oh man, are you sure you're gonna fill me in? Aren't you gonna get the little anti-aliasing white lines if you try and fill me in with this brush?
What if we get the little lines? I don't want that.
Those hurt me.
Those hurt me. I'm in pain.
Those cause me a minor but not negligible amount of pain.
Yeah. So as you can see with this, and I'll show as an example, I've made an underlayer, which I hope you're already doing if you're filling in digital art. Make sure you make the layer underneath your line art layer and not on the same layer. And then we'll just grab like a skin tone here, and we'll do it right here without doing anything, not like that. And then as you can see, actually, this brush is pretty good.
Damn.
This brush is pretty good, actually.
Also, what like settings do you have on your fill bucket?
Yeah, that will change things too.
Tolerance, what your tolerance is at 20?
It's not perfect. Like, I can see a little bit.
Yeah, there's a little bit
of a white halo, and it's worse if you have a brush that's more like
toothy,
airbrushy or toothy. Like if we have one like this will be a good example. That's bad.
That's not what you want.
We don't like that. So one thing that you can do that I learned early on in my sort of college humor days is you can make an underlayer of like a dark neutral tone color. So let me actually fill in just the rest of this real fast, just for the sake of ease. Oh, you can really see it there.
Oh yeah, there you go.
So there you go. We can work with that, and we'll just get rid of this guy over here.
That little fuzz ball.
Yeah.
Get rid of that.
So this is an easy way to do it. You can make a layer underneath all of your filled layer, and you can even start with this underlayer before you start filling to get kind of a base color tone for your piece.
For color relevancy. For
color relevancy, yeah. So let's say we just take sort of like this dark grayish, reddish color here. And it need to be, you want it to go underneath. So make sure you click off all layers and then put it underneath, and look at that. Suddenly,
already
you don't really see those breaks anymore nearly as easily. And
yeah,
that's an easy way to do it. And if you don't want the background to be everywhere, you can always just take out that magic wand, get rid of the rest of it, and now you have this perfect underlayer that will make it so that your lines all match up and look very nice. So this is a very easy way to do it.
Yes.
Another way you can accomplish that same goal that I do sometimes is you can magic wand the outside area and then go to select inverse up here, and then it will just select everything that you didn't select before, and then you can fill that in, and it's essentially the same result without getting that base layer everywhere if you don't want it everywhere from the outset. So that's an easy way to go about it. Another way to go about it is, we've talked about the expand fill before.
Yeah.
But I'm, always excited to talk about it.
My one SVA coloring class, that expand fill, worth the entire price of that class.
Yeah.
Learning about expand fill.
And Nathan taught it to me, and it changed my life. So obviously, like we showed before, if you just fill it in normally, you're gonna mess up because you didn't click the all layers button. You're just gonna get this with the jaggies. However, if you use the magic wand to select the interior area, you can do select, modify, expand, and you can pick like some pixel amount to expand by. I've got it set to 3. So it will just expand your selection by 3 pixels in all directions. And then with all layers turned off this time. You fill that area and it will fill it to the specifications you set, which will go underneath the lines, like sort of towards a midpoint under the lines. And then an even better way to accomplish that is you can set that up to work as an action. I'll have to move. Let's move us out of the way for a second.
Get us out of here.
So if you go to Window and Actions, you can bring up this Actions panel, and then you can come down here to the bottom and create a new action. And then you can essentially record the steps you take in the program and save that to a single button press. So if you look at this one here titled Expand Fill, basically I made a new action, clicked record, and then I did expand by 3 pixels, fill using foreground color at 100% opacity, and then set selection to none. So it will deselect it once it's done.
So yeah, so you need to start with your selection already and then start recording in order to make this
yes,
this action.
Exactly. I guess I can just show the process to be
just make it again.
So we'll make a new one, and this is like example fill.
Expample.
And then you can set the key you want it to be. I have mine set to F4 for my expand fill. We'll just put this one on F9 for fun's sake. Why not? So then we want to make sure we have
your selection first before you start recording.
Oh, I guess F9 is the shortcut for the actions command. I didn't even know that.
Wow.
That's fine. I don't care about that. So we're not going to record right now. So we've got example fill here highlighted. So first thing we want to do is use the magic wand tool to select an area. And let's get a better color. Why don't we? Now we want to start recording our process. So we'll hit record because we want it to do the following things. We want it to select, modify, expand by 3 pixels. We want it to edit fill using foreground color at 100% opacity. And then we want it to select, deselect, get rid of it. Then we hit stop on recording. So now you'll see we've got those same steps here: expand, fill, set selection. Yep. So now what we can do is just select the area we want, hit 1 key, and you're done.
Yep.
And I use this literally every time I draw.
Yeah.
Without
That's really
fail. Good. It's just a really quick way to do it, especially if you're on like a time crunch.
Yeah, and if you don't want to use like, because like you can also, if you just want to use the fill bucket, just do all your inks with the pencil tool. The pencil tool is like pixel sharp, so
yes,
it'll always fully fill.
That is true.
But
the brushes have a little more softness to them, or texture, depending on what you need.
If you want to use a fun textured brush and you still want to be able to flat in your colors quick, expand fill is really nice. Yeah, or even if you're like flatting in colors on like something you drew traditionally and scanned in to Photoshop and you want to color it digitally, it works really great for like dealing with the rough edges on traditional media brushes.
Totally. I should also say that if any of these things seem like, too much like fidgeting, like you just want to be in the drawing process the whole time without setting up macros and stuff, you can also always just like get in there and with a brush that makes any sort of sense, you can just get in there and give it one of these where you sort of go around the border of the area you want to fill.
Sometimes you need to do that if you're using like a particularly textured brush.
Yeah, sometimes you'll have to use
a lot of real tight line details. Sometimes expand fill will not be enough.
Yeah, and then you want to hit it with that, and you can even click fill a couple times. You'll see there's still a gap. You can click fill again, and it will cover the gap.
Cover the gap.
So that's the most simple way to do it, but it is time consuming compared to clicking and clicking. So there's a lot of different ways, and I think that's fun. All right, let's take another question. Why don't we?
Take another cue.
I'll scroll up here to see if there's any that I missed here. Okay, there's the fuzzy line work one. Just scrolling here. Scrolling.
Woo! Yeah, we've got
Draz also sent links to me explaining the expand fill in earlier streams, because I've done it like a million times, but anytime someone asks, I explain it because I want everyone to know.
It's just a fun, it feels like magic, you know? Yeah. And you want to share that. It's just like, let me teach you. Let me teach you the ways. It's so simple, and it makes such a huge difference in your workflow. Oh,
I've actually got a good one here.
Okay.
Ian Vermeers said, I have a question. When you open a new canvas and start your sketch, then 10 minutes later you realize you were drawing on the background. My question is, how do you stop crying? That's a good question, but also that it's salvageable.
Yes.
There's multiple ways, actually. I'll show you what I do. If you're working in like pure black, I think it's the easiest to fix.
Yeah.
So if I were like, you know, sketching something here and it's like, oh, I'm a guy. Hey, everyone.
I like this guy.
I hope I'm not on the background layer. Oh no, I am on the background layer.
Oh no, I'm stuck here.
You can, if you double click on the background layer, make it to a normal layer. And then we can actually go into the layer settings. If it would let me do so, there we go. And we can give it a blend if gray on blending options. And then if you turn down the white, it just disappears. Then you can click OK. You can take this guy.
I actually never knew that.
Give it a Control-Shift-C, and that'll copy the whole thing.
Wow.
And then you can go.
I'm learning.
And paste it.
I didn't even pay
on
for
another
this.
layer. And look, he's separate now. He's free. So that's how I usually do it. It also works even if you're like sketching, because you can change it to blend if red, blend if, you know, if you do a different color, it's probably even easier actually, now that I think about it.
Oh man,
we'll do another example.
Cooked some tasty smelling fish.
So here's the background, and then if we do like, if I sketch in red a lot,
yeah,
and we'll just use. I'm usually sketching in the hard round. So we'll get another one here. And this time I have opacity jitter on to show that it can even work with that. So here's a guy. He's like, oh no, I'm on the wrong layer. You drew me on the
background and in red.
This sucks.
Ah.
But similar thing, I can double click on the layer to open up settings. Blend if gray will avoid the red because it's not gray, and then you can just boop, you can duck it out. And if you go too far, then it will start to get it because the tolerance changes.
Oh no!
But you just kind of go far down enough to get the white to be gone.
Blend if gray. I did not know about that, Jacob. So then, thank you.
Yeah, copy that guy and slap him on a new layer. I'm free.
That's great. That's really good.
So no more tears when you realize that you have done a oopsie. I didn't mean to create a new group. Tears are gone. Crying is over. There's only art. Okay, let's see what else we got. Scroll it on down here. Okay, let's see.
Here's a question.
Yeah.
Are there any, this is from Deezy, are there any filters or plugins you find yourself using with any regularity?
Any filters or plugins?
I don't.
I don't think I do either.
Yeah. Easy question.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't. Filters or plugins?
Yeah, I actually don't know much about the whole plugin scene for Photoshop.
Sometimes I'll blur. sometimes if I want to like make if I've got like a detailed background on an image, I don't do this a ton, but like you may notice in the like in the Hollow Knight Dark Souls episode, when I made the background, it was like it kind of made the image too busy, so I blurred it a little bit. And
I do that a lot too.
That just helps stuff recede into the background. Just like I like Gaussian blur more than the regular blur. Like I feel like Gaussian blur and motion blur are like the two filters I use with the most frequency.
Gaussian blur is definitely my number one as well. And here it is. It's in filter, blur, Gaussian blur. It just brings up a thing and you adjust how much blur you want and click OK, and that's it.
But yeah, I don't really use many plugins personally.
Yeah, I don't either. I don't think I use any.
If anyone, if anyone has any recs, I'm open. It's not like a principle thing that I'm anti plugins. I just don't know anything about them, and hasn't come up.
I'm seeing in here that our very own mod Jamie, and this might not be a legit question, but I will address it anyway, said, I just don't even know how to come up with ideas because I don't know how to draw anything. So I'm like, whoops, guess I can't draw. In that case, you just want to whip up some reference.
Yeah.
If you don't know how to draw something, just pull it up. It sounds simple, but it's one of those things that's like really hard. It was hard for me too, as like an early artist, to think that it was okay for some reason to like, I don't know what, every artist has like a mental block where they think they need to be able to draw something from their head from the get-go.
Right.
And like then just have like an imagination that can just like pull things out of their brain at all times. And professional artists don't work that way.
No.
We look up reference for everything instantly. If you ever look at like character designers' work, they're always making like mood boards full of inspirational pics and things that like are in the mood they want to capture, and make like a whole mood board section. I mean, you've seen in our speed draws too. I usually will put like a bunch of stuff on the left side of the canvas,
right?
Just to sort of bounce my brain off of.
Yeah, there's like a whole process with my speed draw, because like I'll fill up an entire separate PSD with basically like a collage of character and style reference. Like half of it will be character reference, half of it will be style reference, and like that's just on my other screen.
Yeah.
I don't have that up on like what I'm recording, because it's like a fully other window. Like it takes up too much room.
Yeah.
But like oftentimes, like when I'm sitting down to do like a more finished piece, it's like the first step is just Googling a whole bunch of reference and putting it all in a big reference doc.
Yeah, totally. Draz said Jamie's asking what to draw, not how to draw. And I think this also answers that question, because often I come up with the what to draw from like going on like Pinterest or ArtStation or any website, like just scrolling through Twitter. Sometimes I'll see something that like, oh, I want to do something like that.
Yeah, start with stuff you like. Like if there's a type of art you see and you like the way it looks, that's often a good starting point.
Yeah. I'm just going to whip ArtStation over here because I'm always using this as an example.
Yeah.
Because you just pull up the homepage of this thing and scroll down, and immediately I'm drawn to this because I'm like, whoa.
Impossible not to get
like, look at this musculature. Like now I want to try to like mimic this.
Are you showing
this? I'm trying to be showing, but I guess I'm not showing. Oh, I'm showing it to the stream. You're showing it to the stream. I'm just
hold on, I'll fix it.
There you go.
Okay. Great.
Great. This is like arms and hands at a bunch of angles, and that's really good practice. And that was just right here on the homepage. But then also, you know, like what else is my eye drawn to, like immediately as I look?
Look at that homepage. Look at that homepage and try not to get inspired by at least one thing.
Yeah, like click on this. I'm like, whoa, cool. They even show like how the cloaks fit and like what it looks like under the cloak. And there's like a line art version and a rendered version. and you can try to like mimic or do something like this, like get inspiration from the armor design. I feel like
I love that the flats in the middle also, because
yeah,
like
exactly,
that render is daunting, but it's like, okay, I can start by just like
doing
these shapes.
Yeah, totally.
Or just like pick a section of it, like just that left arm, the way that like armor and cloth, and it looks like a little bit of leather on the glove, like the way all of those things interact is like really interesting. And so like maybe just try that, just like draw an arm wearing a cool thing.
Yeah, absolutely. You don't have to like tackle the whole thing at once, but you can take little pieces and work on that.
Or it's just like, I just like the way this person drew that guy standing, like that all the clothes is really cool, but I'm just like, I just want to red line this like stance that this artist has drawn. So, like within any given piece of reference, there's plenty of technique and artistry to inspire you
absolutely
to draw it.
And the cool thing about ArtStation is whenever you click through to one, there's always a bunch of, there's like zoom ins, there's turnarounds, there's live turnarounds, there's super zoom ins on textures. Like there's so much stuff here to draw reference from. So I would say if you ever don't know what to draw, literally just type in artstation.com and then scroll and just look at the homepage, and something will be like, oh, that's cool, I want to figure that out. Okay. So we will go to the next question. I saw some good ones. How do you approach, oh wait, here, this one first, since it's easy to answer. Well, not easy, but it doesn't require me to draw anything. How frequently would you recommend practicing? I find that burnout is real and hurts my productivity. It really varies person to person as to what's going to be the most effective. I don't practice with like a lot of regularity because, I mean, I guess I'm drawing a lot for work, but in terms of like practice, I have to be like in the specific, I need to have like extra energy, and my life has to have worked out in such a way that I have this extra energy and the desire to use it for that.
There was like a period though, like shortly after you started at College Humor, where it feels like you were on that like practicing grind, because like there was a marked shift in the sorts of stuff you were making and like different styles you were suddenly like confident in producing.
Yeah, I mean, I go through bursts. I'm like a burst style person where I get like
a lot of burst damage.
Yeah, a lot of burst damage, but no sustain. Mm-hmm. So I'll like have like 2 to 3 weeks where I'm practicing like multiple times a week, like learning new stuff, and I feel like I'm really making a lot of progress, and then I get so tired, and then I have to stop for like a month. So it really depends on how you operate as to what you can do, but I think it's helpful if you can find ways to just like doodle when you can, like while you're doing something else, just to keep those muscles moving in that way. Even that would be helpful. And this also like kind of goes with Punch Frog's question about how tips for trying to practice when you're constantly exhausted from a full-time job. And it's a similar kind of thing. Like if you're just too tired and don't have the energy to do it, then it might not be the best time to be doing it for you. Unless you can find a way to kind of incorporate it into your normal schedule that isn't so mentally draining. It's just hard.
Yeah, like I mean, it's sort of like exercise.
For right now, while we're just talking,
you want to try. I think it's more helpful to like try and come up with a routine that you feel is achievable than like try and force something that is going to cause you to burn out. So like even if it's just like once a week is my art practice time, but like I can say that like this like Saturday from 2 to 3 p.m. I have like an hour of time that's free. I'm just going to, put on some music or listen to a podcast and just practice, and that just, do the practice. not making anything for show, just like practicing skills every week. That's my time that I'm going to do it. And like, you think that's something reasonable that you can hold yourself to, then like, great. If you can do it, once a day, you'll certainly like improve faster. But like, if that doesn't seem like something that you'll reasonably be able to do, then you'll just like do it once and then just feel guilty and burnt out that you're not doing it. Then like, that's Absolutely. Not helping you. So
you want to think about like what you could do at your maximum effort and then lower that by about 80%.
Yeah.
And then make that your weekly schedule. And it really is like, if you can just get consistent with however often you're doing it, like if you make it so that every Saturday for an hour you're doing it, and like you can do that without feeling like it's even a hassle at all. Like it even feels like a little too, like not enough. Like you want to be at a place where you feel like you're not doing quite as much as you could. So you have like a little extra energy when you're done.
Right.
That's where you want to be starting out.
That's a great feeling. Like you get to the end of the hour and you're like, I still feel inspired. I want to keep going. Like, hell yeah.
But don't.
Or like,
don't keep going. Stop after that hour. And like, cause it always gets harder the longer you do it. And if you start at a really extra reasonable place, then you can grow from there once that's consistent. But even if you don't end up growing, at least you have this one consistent thing that you could do. I think it's whenever an artist is like, draw every day, I'm like, that's not really feasible for everyone.
If you can,
it's great. Like it's definitely ideal.
Then do it, but don't feel bad if you can't. I certainly don't.
No, I get worse if I try to make myself do it every single day. I saw some other good ones here. Citrus Death asked, how do you approach meeting in the middle between painterly and graphic line art / cell shaded styles? I always feel I'm either going full lineless painting or line art into blocked in color. That's a good question.
That's a good question. I do not. Every time I try and like get somewhere in the middle, I feel like I'm just guessing.
I think that is my answer. Like, and also I'm not going to be the best person to answer this even because I lean much further towards blocked in line art. I don't even like coloring at all. So if I had my way, everything I did would be black and white and gray and screen tone and like maybe one color.
But then you do these awesome lineless things too. Like your Love Actually Dark Souls painting was like so cool.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, I think it's really fun, but again, that's like the dichotomy showing itself. Like, it's either the one thing or completely the other thing.
Sure.
There are ways to go in the middle, and I think it's just going to involve like experimentation on your part, which is like, you have like your line version over here, and then you have, let's get like a skin tone again. You're gonna have like your painted version lineless over here that you're working with, and this is obviously very rough. And I think what you can do is just start experimenting with like implementing a little bit of one into the other. Like try doing a line style with blocked in color but soft shading. Try doing a painted style where then you add in little like hints of like ink into like the painting. Like maybe it's just sort of like in like parts to highlight certain areas where like shadow might be, to give it kind of a cell shaded look. I think start with taking like one element from the opposite style and putting that in and seeing like how you can adapt it and if it works. And it might not all the time, or probably even most of the time, but odds are you'll stumble across something cool.
Going back to the like Souls Actually ones, like that's one where I inked it and flatted it and then was like, I want to go for a more painterly style, but like the paint I used a sort of more painterly brush for the shading.
Yeah.
Like everything was already inked and flatted in, just like solid, and then the painterly stuff happened just in terms of like the shading that I did on it.
Yeah.
And I thought that created a nice effect.
It did. I mean, that piece ended up
but
looking
that was
awesome.
Also something I don't normally do. I was just trying it out. It worked okay. Probably stuff I'd do differently were I to try it again another time. But yeah, like that's just like experimentation to find what works for you.
For sure. It's really important, and I think it's also important to kind of like I was trying to say, like, experiment with like one element at a time. Like, keep everything constant but change one element. Like Nathan said, use a different brush for the coloring, and like make yourself stick with that brush and like make it work. And you'll discover sort of like new ways to new like neuron connections for how to make this stuff happen. And then you'll find like cool hybrid styles out of that. So but it is, I think, helpful to like start from like a base of like some sort of safety that you're comfortable with, and then make like small adjustments and see how it works with your style.
Amanda Ray has a question for me. Are there advantages to digitally coloring traditional inks? Is it worth the extra effort? For me, digitally coloring feels like less effort than traditional coloring, because you can undo, you can like try out a color, and if it doesn't work, you haven't permanently altered your base drawing. Like if you feel more confident using traditional coloring methods, and it feels like extra effort to work digitally, then like just do what you're most comfortable with. For me, like working digitally just gives me more freedom to like experiment and takes a lot of pressure off. In a way that like working traditionally, I always feel like, where's the undo button? But like if working traditionally is is easier for you than working digitally, then I wouldn't recommend switching to digital just for the sake of switching to digital, you know?
Yeah, for sure. I'd agree
like
with that.
These are all tools.
Yeah.
And so like if the tool isn't serving you, then you don't
use it.
There's no reason to bend over backwards just to like use a tool that's not as helpful as a different tool.
I saw something I thought I could help with here from Raikua, who said, I'm not sure if this question was answered already, but I tend to sketch on paper and then take a picture of it and color on Photoshop. Unfortunately, this process leaves a lot of paper texture in the background. Is there a good way to get rid of stray paper texture?
Oh, there are a bunch.
There's a lot of ways. Yeah, it's one of those things that there's a lot of ways to do again. Again, I'll show you what my first thought would be, and then maybe if Nathan knows other ways that you can show too.
Yeah.
I'm just going to get a paper texture from Google. It's a pretty nasty one, actually. Let's get a less nasty one. Yeah, so we'll just get a paper texture here, and I'll do a little sketchy sketch on it.
I recently did this with those little warm-up doodles that I posted.
Oh yeah,
on Twitter. I did some removal of paper texture.
So we'll get like a sketch here. So you probably will actually know better than me.
Well, I mean, I don't know how well it worked, but yeah, I can show you what I did if I have these images saved somewhere. Where'd they go? Where they go?
All right, so here's a sketch on a paper texture. I need to merge these layers so that they're on the same thing. So this would be like what you'd have if you would bring it into Photoshop. We'll crop this down. So say you brought this into Photoshop. One thing you can do is mess with the levels.
Yeah.
So if you hit Control L, I don't actually know where it is in the menu.
It's image adjustments, levels.
Image adjustments levels.
It's the second one. Yeah.
You'll get this thing. And then what you can do with this is adjust it so that the light parts become lighter. I can even actually get rid of it entirely just with this.
Yeah. Usually the levels is all you need.
So all I did was take the white part, the lightest parts of the image, and phase them out using this end of the slider here. I wish I was better at explaining what these things meant.
You can even up the line darkness as well by moving the dark one.
You can use the gray one too to make the lines darker. The dark one will also make the lines darker. And then you've basically eliminated the paper texture altogether. There you go.
There you go.
That was it. It's just levels, turns out. Yeah. Photoshop's so cool. It could do so many things. Okay, let's see what else we got.
I'll add that, like, sometimes depending on the lighting of just like if you're just taking photographs of your drawings, sometimes depending on the lighting there will be like some color in there.
Yeah.
Usually what I'll do is I'll go to adjustments, hue saturation, and fully desaturate the image before doing the levels, because color messes with levels in a way that I don't understand, and it's like usually I just want the line art. I'm not interested in like errant colors when I'm scanning or like taking traditional line art to use in digital. And so
yeah, I'm just gonna show as an example here.
Yeah.
We'll give it like a multiply. This is an extreme example.
Yeah, if you were in some like a moody bar, you're at one of those bars where like you can draw on the table has like paper on it, you can draw on it, and you want to take a picture of your drawing for later, but it looks like this because it was very low orange light.
Yeah, you can do image adjustments, hue and saturation, like Nathan said, and then take the saturation all the way down, and that will make it grayscale. Then you can even like lighten it here a little bit if you need to.
And then you just go right back to levels.
You go right back to levels. This would be more difficult because the tones are a lot closer, but it should still be able to do a pretty decent. Yeah, actually, still works great.
Yeah, it still works. Levels is your friend.
Levels rules. Yeah. Everyone else rules.
Jacob, do you not have your Discord on?
I closed it.
On streamer mode.
Let's see. Was it Julia? Nope. It was David. David's fired. It's not my fault. It's anyone who ever messages me on Discord.
David did a good thing to help our workflow. Thank you, David.
Yeah, so they're fired. Okay. I saw some other stuff I was looking at here.
And people are also providing like all the stuff that people are saying in chat is like other ways to do. Like the nice thing about Photoshop is there are lots of different ways to do the same thing.
Yeah, totally.
Or like they're doing different things, but they have the same effect or similar effects. And like, you know, there's no one right way to do it. It's like, these are what I learned originally. And so like, it's what I recommend, but if there's an easier way to do it, feel free to share and do, you know, I won't be offended if you do it a different way. Offended.
I saw some easy ones to address here, which is Punch Frog asking if there's like a default brush size we stay at, and Bleish adding on to that saying, and canvas size, to add to Punch Frog's question. So I'll just go do a new file for you, and I'll tell you what I do typically, and then other things you can do depending on what you're working with here. My default that I go to is typically a 16 by 9 inches. You set this to inches. Yeah. 16 by 9 inches, 300 pixels per inch is my standard for most things. Sometimes on Drawfee streams will reduce it to 200 pixels per inch because it just makes Photoshop run quicker. And if you're working in print, you'll want to make it 600 pixels per inch because those files need to be big.
Yeah.
So I'm almost always though at 16 by 9 inches, 300 pixels per inch, and then we'll go ahead and make a file here. And then as far as brush size goes,
I always do 200 pixels per inch for episode recordings, and then when I do my render, I up it to 400.
Yeah, so anywhere from like the 200 to 600 range, depending on what your needs are.
And like that's just because like this is specifically something for like the way we do our drawings is like usually we're drawing for episodes or streams, and so we just want the drawing to fill the space that will be the video.
Yeah.
And so 16 by 9 is those dimensions.
It's the screen ratio, yeah. So you can make it any inches you want, really. Yeah.
You'll notice for like speed draws and stuff, like oftentimes the people will make their canvas different sizes, like or crop it as they go, depending on like the composition they end up deciding to go with.
Yeah, very much so. And then once I'm in, my brush size like varies a lot depending on what I'm doing, so it's not really consistent. I would say like 10 to 15 is probably usually where I'm at. But usually when I'm like sketching, I'll go bigger so that I have like less ability to draw details. So I would like start sketching with like a real fat one.
Forces you to block in, think more about form.
Yeah, to get like the main things in there, and then I don't have the ability to.
I love these guys you've been drawing on the streams so far, Jacob. They're all just like.
They're like, oh, is this what we're doing?
You're not gonna finish drawing me, are you?
I never for a second thought you would. I know you're kind.
You're just using me as an example.
So oftentimes I would do like, because this is fast. Using a big brush and getting it on there is fast, which is why I do it. Then, you know, you can like take that down and then maybe drop it down to like a 10 or a 15 and start getting in some like finer lines as you go. So normally I go smaller like as I continue with the process and as I'm ready to like add more details, because now I can like get in here and do eyes.
I don't know why this face is so funny.
He's mad now. I'm sick of it. So it's kind of an iterative sketch process.
This guy. I've seen this guy walking around Chelsea.
Yeah. So
where
again,
are my damn kids?
You know, very loose.
Dylan.
And then when when it actually comes time to ink, I usually will zoom in for that phase to try and get, you know, actual nice lines that are the lines that I want them to be for the final piece.
And if you were actually inking, you'd probably take off the opacity sensitivity.
Oh yeah, I would. And I would use a different brush most likely also. I guess I can show that too real fast. Because if I were inking, typically I'd probably be using a brush with size.
Yeah, that size jitter.
Because I often like to do, and when it comes to this, I just use pressure. I keep it at the same size, and I just use pressure to make like thicker lines for bigger shapes, and then thinner lines for smaller shapes. And you can kind of just adjust it with your hand. This is obviously very fast, but you can get a lot of variation with that kind of thing. So yeah, I hope that is helpful information. I want to bring him back to this. I liked him like this. Looking for his son Dylan. Okay, let's see what else we got. And probably once in like just a couple minutes, I'll switch to doing critiques for the latter half of the stream.
There's a lot of really good stuff. Like critiquing is hard because I'm just like, I mean, I'd have done some things different, but like a lot of the stuff just like it's its own style, and it works as it is. So, but yeah, like I'm interested. I'll provide a quippy backup.
Well, I mean, I'm sure you'll have a lot of like advice too.
Sure.
And again, like Nathan said from the outset, it's not like universal.
Right.
This is better advice. It's just like, here's something you could think about.
Exactly. Like all the pieces that are in the Discord, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They're all great, like already. So anything is that we have to say will be extra.
Yeah.
But y'all already like certainly understand basic fundamentals of drawing, which is cool to see.
Just gonna bust some fast questions real quick.
Bust those fast
Let's
questions.
Bust some fast ones. Fast ones. How do I improve use of like shape and form for pose and composition? I stopped sharing my screen and then I immediately wanted to go back and share it again.
Sometimes you just want to get a nice big Jacob and Nathan face on there.
I feel like when we're just talking, it's nicer to look at.
It's nice to look at.
So as far as shape and form goes, I just love showing off my room.
My room is so nice now.
Yeah, it is nice.
Got a new camera just to show it off.
There's some basic shape training that I think is really helpful. And it's the I'm gonna tell you right now, it's the boring stuff. Like doing things like drawing cylinders at different angles, drawing rectangles that recede into the distance, and you can do this like with perspective lines and stuff if you want. But what's kind of more important about it is how these shapes apply to the figures you're going to draw. Like, yes, this is a rectangle, but also this is the same sort of rules you'll be following if you're doing like a foreshortened limb, like coming towards you.
Yeah.
So it would be kind of like this is like the.
Here comes the arm train.
Yeah,
choo
like
choo.
The forearm or the bicep tricep and the forearm, and then the hand would be coming out from there, which is also sort of a rectangle shape.
Yeah.
And you can use different shapes for these things too. Like arms are usually cylinders. I just use this as an example. So the more you sort of practice, and when you're drawing your figures, you want them to actually represent sort of a three-dimensional space, even though they're two-dimensional figures. So if you're doing like a torso, we'll say it's like a torso angled like this. I've kind of got like a seat cushion shape going on here. You want to know like this is where the arm would connect. And if the arm is coming like out at us, then maybe like the elbow part would be here and the wrist part would be like here. And then you can connect these like tubes.
Connected to tubes.
And then if it's going the opposite direction, they're going to be getting smaller. And you got some tubes going off this way that are going to be small. And it's just practice. And a thing that really, really helps actually, jump back to ArtStation real quick, just snag a pic of someone at an angle of some kind. See if we can't find a good foreshortened one. Here we go, this is good. And I'm gonna go ahead and say warning for side boob. Side boob warning.
Side boob warning.
You've been warned, everyone.
Wee-oo.
There is side boob. This is a really excellent way to do it, is to take art that's doing it well. And we always talk about redlining, but this will actually
You can use any color.
You can use any color, but this will get it in your head how these things work. So what we want to do is like look for points that mark where these cylinders would be. Like for instance, where the elbow meets the arm here, this is a circle. And then where the shoulder meets the body, that's a circle as well. So we want to figure out where do those line up and then connect them. And you can even do more lines in between to be like, this is the angle of this arm. I'm getting this in my head that this is how this arm would look. Then it's like, okay, how does this other part connect to it? Well, we got the wrist joint, which is giving us clues. So there's going to be a circle here, then obviously a circle here, and then it's a tube. And we connect it, and we're like, okay, so if it's angled like this, the whole arm is following this series of shapes.
Oh, it looks like she's wearing a little emo hoodie.
She's wearing a little, it's a hair hoodie. A hoodie made of her hair. And then, you know, you've got like the neck is a cylinder. And then the torso, like I said, the upper torso part is kind of like this car seat structure.
It's a car seat.
And then the hips. And there's lots of YouTube videos you could watch that will show you sort of how to delineate these shapes, like how to know how they're going to work.
Right. Like there's definitely like a more advanced way of thinking about arms and legs than like tubes. Like there's usually like a flatter side and a more curved side whenever you're drawing. Like
but that's getting into like anatomical details.
Yeah.
And this is just the shape and form section. Yeah. When you're looking for basic ways to make it look right without having maybe all of the correct musculature yet, if you even have interest in doing that.
Yeah, if you just want the basic shapes, tubes are your friends.
Tubes and circles and kind of whatever you can make work. And then and then you'll just, you know, you'll start to learn from doing it. It gets in your head if you're like doing it with intent, like paying attention to it and saying, okay, I can replicate this, right? Mm-hmm. Like I can do a tube that goes this way and has a circle here and a circle here.
Tube, I can tube better.
And this is, you know, like this. And then I can do a tube that goes this way and has a circle here and then a circle here and goes kind of like this. And then it's like, boom, there you go. Now we're learning.
Yeah. Now we're learning shape and form. And if you tend to operate in simpler styles like I do, then you can just sort of use these very simple shapes to represent the thing really well. Like if you're doing like sort of a simple like Adventure Time arm, like I know this is a tube, this is a tube, and so I can just sort of make a little arm that goes like this, and it'll look, even though it's, you know, simple, it'll look right. Like it'll look like an arm is supposed to look, even though it's ultra simplified. Exactly.
And this is a rectangle, and then fingers are, guess what? They're tubes.
They're tubes. They're little sausages.
So that's all really helpful stuff. I'll just do a quick scan of questions here to see if this also kind of answered Jose Rodriguez's question. Do you have any suggestion to start training for shortening anatomy? Yeah, that's the same thing. Find reference, redline it, and then try to imitate it.
Yeah.
And then we'll see if there's any other ones here. Otherwise, we'll get to the thing. The Elegant Raven asked, how do you go about figuring out what details to pay attention to and which to ignore when looking at reference when you are doing a more simplified style? I tend to look for the things that are unique about the figure. Like if they have a hair thing going on, if they have like a one piece of clothing that's really unique. The things that if you saw just those pieces absent of the rest of the character, you'd say that's that character.
Yeah.
Like for instance, as a quick example, it's, you know, really easy to do this. And it's like, oh, that's Naruto.
Yeah.
Like, that's Naruto. It's not Naruto, but you know it's Naruto.
But you know it's not. You could draw any face, and it would still be Naruto.
Doesn't
you could
matter.
Draw two dots and a line, and that's still Naruto.
Yeah, or you know,
or nothing. Yeah, like even just that is Naruto.
And if I do this, it's like that's Goku.
That's Goku.
Like oftentimes character designers will choose these big like statement pieces that make you recognize the character even with like hardly any information. Those are the things you want to focus on, the things that you see on a character and say that's what makes it that character.
Yeah.
It gets more difficult as you get to more like naturalistic characters, like real people. So you usually want to focus on like features, like facial features that are very distinctive, things like that. I mean, I feel like, you know, like Benedict Cumberbatch is always a good example because he's got like eyes way up here and like a mouth way down here. He just has he has like these little eyes.
That's No Face from Spirited Away.
But like I'm not looking at him right now, so this obviously isn't him, but it's like the ratio of features is important.
Yeah, you can exaggerate.
Yeah, bits. Things like that. Should we do some critiquus?
Sure.
A little bit of critiquus.
I've got Discord open. Want me to just like send you ones or you could reopen Discord your own self and pick.
I guess I'll just reopen because that's probably the easiest way, right?
Just put it on streamer mode. Then you won't get the blips.
I'll put it on streamer mode, okay?
These are all really good. Even if we don't get to yours, know that I have looked at it and like it and appreciate it. And I love how different they all are too.
Where is...
Heck yeah. Heck yeah to everyone.
Drawclass chat.
For drawing. For drawing and for seeking to improve. You're valid and you're good.
Okay, we got some good ones here. Like you said, you were correct.
Yeah, man.
We'll just run through. We'll just go top to bottom here.
Let's go top to bottom, see how many we can do in the next 50 minutes or so.
Yeah, to see if there's anything that like comes quickly. Here's this one from Ian Vermeers. I'm assuming it's Ian Vermeer in our chat presently. Got a Ruby fan art here. Let's see,
I don't even know where you're seeing that one.
It was just right at the top here of it's actually not even from...
Oh yeah,
it's not even from today. This is a month old.
That's not one of the critique ones.
Whoop. Uh-oh, whoop.
That's why.
What's today's date? February 26th.
Today's the 26th. The top one is from Ian Vermeer's. It's just a different drawing. It's a Miku. Today. Go until you see that good Miku.
We'll do the Miku. This one's really good though too. Yeah. I don't really have many notes, to be honest. But we'll get the Miku. Because I really like... Oh, I'm going to have to... Stupid Google Chrome.
Let's critique Google Chrome.
Whenever you copy a PNG from Google Chrome, it's like you wanted a solid black background, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, I want it to be like it was.
Yeah, jeez.
It's ridiculous. It's insane.
That's a good Miku.
Yeah, this is a really good Miku.
I love that. There's so much good about this.
This is an example of, like Nathan said, I don't really have much by way of critique because most of the foundational elements are really solid. It's got good shape language. We're gonna redline it a bit here. It's got good shape language. Like all the shapes are complete. So if we redline here, you can see you can complete all of the shapes. That's another thing that I feel like I always want to drive home for people, is that your shapes should be completable. Like even the parts you don't see, you should be able to complete them successfully.
Yeah.
That gives a sense of like it actually existing there.
Yeah, your mind is like, oh yeah, those are arms.
Yeah.
They exist in 3D space, even though this is like a 2D character. I can imagine
it's like
that everything connects and works and makes sense.
Really good anatomy. Everything like anatomically reads to me as being like proportionally correct. Love these outer shapes. The hands are really good. Love it when hands have this like nice little like easy rectangle shape. Yeah. That's an easy way to kind of get hands. And then the big hair, of course, we all love.
We love the big hair.
Yeah, this is really nice. I mean, like the only thing, and this isn't even a critique, it's just like a thing you could think about, is and everyone can think about this basically all the time, You can always push the pose a bit more, I would say.
That's true.
You can always like, you know, bring the legs out a little bit more to kind of get more of like the pose can always be usually more dynamic. Like you can go, you've already got the one arm higher than the other, but yeah, you can do like something more like this. And this is just an example. Again, not to say that what you did is not already good. It's just like if I had to say anything, you can try to arch the back a little more, get the head more. Because
there's like a little, again, there's like that bean, that like torso bean, where like the chest and the sort of pelvis zone is. You can bend that instead of having it be perfectly straight, and that just makes it a little bit more dynamic.
Yeah, and this is like a really rough sort of approximation of what I mean. But oftentimes when I'm drawing, I'll like take segments and actually like just move it a bit to like push it even more.
I remember I took an anatomy class, and like the professor challenged us to always, if given the opportunity to have a bend in the figure, like have it bend, like shoulder to like elbow, like don't have it go straight, like have it bend, have the wrist bend, have the fingers like doing their own thing.
Yeah, it's just like, it makes for a kind of a dynamic experience.
And again, you don't always want to be doing that, because like sometimes you do just want that like nice simple,
because this kind of looks like she's screaming in rage.
Yeah, it's less cute
to the heavens.
It's now less cute.
Like, curse you, God! Why did you make me? So, you know, not exactly, but it's just something to think about.
Just something to think about.
Because yours is really cute.
You accomplished, like you accomplished it. Like this is, and like the line thickness is really nice.
Yeah,
like
really
the difference,
nice line work.
The like the areas that are sharp versus the areas that are curved.
Yeah,
like
love the color choice for the shading too.
The roundness of the face and eyes really stand out against like sort of the sharpness of
sharp
like
elbows, sharp
a lot
legs,
of the other stuff.
Totally.
Yeah.
It's just really choosing like a bluish purplish for the shading tone, or like a pinkish. I'm colorblind, but I'm trying here. It's nice
it's
to
like it's like a warm. It's sort of a warm purplish.
Yeah, like
shading.
A purpley shading tone looks really nice, and the I really like.
The hair looks like
the chromatic aberration on the hair, where you like shifted the sort of the pink and the teal.
I don't even know how you did that.
I imagine you just can copy paste the shape, change the color, and then nudge it to the right and left a little bit.
That's cool. And
it looks like they actually overlap each other. So the teal might be like a layer style that overlaps with the pink and makes a white, and then is teal on the edges.
That's cool.
I don't know. There's lots of ways you could do it. Blue multiply layer, Ian Vermeers said.
That's cool. And then I love the screen tone on the stars also.
Yeah, lots of fun stuff here. Now get out of here. You drew good.
You drew good. Keep it up.
Let's take a look here at Bleischks. And it seemed like saving it actually made the file a lot bigger, so
yeah,
we'll do that.
D&D character.
Another cool piece here.
Aarakocra.
Elemental monk.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot to like here. I think you did a really good job with the anatomy. Let's take a look. Yeah, the anatomy seems pretty spot on to me. Good foreshortening on this arm as it connects to the shoulder. And then this would be longer because we're seeing it side on. Good shapes on the arms. Just roughing out real quick, because sometimes it's a lot easier to see anatomical mistakes if you redline.
Yeah. But also the nice thing about drawing a bird person is it's like, well, that's just how bird person anatomy is. So
yeah.
Can't get mad at me.
Yeah, I like the curve here.
Yeah.
The sort of hip jutting out.
Yeah, that's nice.
One thing, I think that the head is a little too squarted as a result of the downward head tilt. Because you're getting kind of a weird shape with how the eyes and head interact with each other.
Which again could be a stylistic choice.
What I mean here,
but I know what you're saying.
Yeah, I think that too much of the chin maybe is disappearing. Trying to figure out exactly how.
Or just like, for how high up the eyes are. I don't know. That's interesting.
Yeah, I think if that's where the head is, you would, even if it's tilted down, you would still see, Photoshop, just chill, please. You would still see the chin coming down a bit further, even with a downward head tilt. So something like this, and this is the top of the head. So yeah, you'd have like the nose here, and then the mouth. I think the position of things was good. I think you're just absent a little bit of chin. Does that seem reasonable to you, Nathan?
Yeah, and then again, I don't know how much chin bird people have, so maybe that's just like their heads are shaped different.
But that's like what my eye is drawn to when I look at it. So you want to know when like an outsider looks at it, what are they going to notice first that seems off, right?
That's fair.
So I'll even like slide this over here so you can see. Like I think to my eye, this head shape here looks a bit more natural by comparison. If you look at the two side by side, and it's just because the jaw structure is there, and it could be also, like Nathan said, a choice about like the species.
Yeah, but like I think yeah, you're sort of in this like halfway between like bird and person, where you have to make some decisions about like, because you could go full bird and just like reference a bird's head, but like it really, because it looks like it's got like a human's neck.
Yeah.
And so that I think creates like a subconscious expectation in the viewer to like have recognizable human like features in the head as well. But like you could do like, I don't know. I'm trying to think of like the way they draw Aarakocra in like D&D art, and like sometimes it's just like straight up a bird head, which like wouldn't have a chin at all. It would just be like it would just sort of like floop up into head.
Yeah, but I think you either have to go further into bird head or further into human head, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I hope that.
You know what this is reminding me of Xavier Renegade Angel a little bit.
I never watched that one.
Because he's got a little beak. Anyway, that's not helpful. That's just something I thought of and said it.
Nathan, that's fine. Another thing I think I would say is most of your shadows and lighting. I like the position of all your shadows, but I think I would have gone with some harder lines in certain areas for the shading, because you're getting a glow from this. Photoshop, I'm just gonna end you. You're getting a glow from this fire, and fire is notoriously bright. So wherever it hits, it's gonna create a hard-edged sort of light source. And you reflected the glow from the fire in the face and the upper torso here, which is great. But I do think you would have a bit more of like a hard angle light. And I don't know how well I'll be able to reflect this, but we'll freaking try, won't we? But yeah, I think like maybe where it like hit certain areas would be a bit harder.
Yeah.
And probably even a bit brighter than that. But yeah, it would hit more like over here. Just trying to think about where the light would fall. I think the face would be mostly lit. But you would have even like a harder shadow then underneath here.
Right.
Would be more of a shadow because it would be hitting down on the face and then making a shadow there. These shadows would be harder.
You could even point that bottom of the shadow because of the beak.
Because of the beak, yeah, you could make that. Because it's going to create some stark shadows being that close to the light source. And it's okay to have the soft shading too. I'm not saying just do hard shading. Something I like to supplement. Is to start with hard shading and then, or start with soft shading and then add in hard angles where they make sense. So I think that is something you could do. This pulled back hair would definitely be in shadow. So we're gonna,
and like a thing to remember about like the human body maybe is, again, it's like, it's not, it that like goes back to what we were talking about with like the tubes. It's like, it's not perfect tubes. There are like surfaces. So like, certain surfaces will get like a full hit of the light and certain surfaces will be fully in shadow. In addition to this sort of soft glow that the fire is creating.
And I think too, if you have any, to like go on what Nathan is saying,
make it look more solid and less like tubey.
If you have anything, like if you consider the textures of the objects, the beak, I assume, is made of a hard substance, probably more reflective. It would probably have a bit of highlight on it.
Sure.
Let's make that a little brighter. Yeah. And this is a way to draw attention too. So like the beak would have a highlight. The eyes would definitely
get that shine.
Would have an eye shine, reflecting the light. So anything that would have like a hard reflective surface is going to have a hard, bright reflection. Skin will probably usually have not as bright as this, but it will have brighter than fabric because it's a little more reflective than fabric is. So softer shading on fabric makes sense because it's not going to bounce light. But if, for instance, like the collar thing was made of like a more reflective fabric, then it would definitely have more of like a,
you get like a little
sort of a glow on that, that you could reflect down here too, hitting the light. So even for just like little things, you can see that it draws your attention more to the head area, which is kind of the focal point of the drawing. Yeah, I would say just work on considering your light sources and how they would impact the different substances they're falling on. And your anatomy, like I said, is really good. The only thing that I think was a little off was the head shape, but other than that, it's a great drawing.
Yeah.
You got anything else, Nathan?
No, I think that's, yeah, all makes sense to me. I guess like you could even like articulate like the flames a little bit more than just like have them be just sort of, I mean, again, this is a stylistic choice, but like,
yeah,
I really love this like sort of spiral effect you have with the soft, just like the soft airbrush look on the fire that she's summoning. But like if you wanted to use like a hard edge and like articulate,
you could get
just like a little bit
a spiral sort of pattern.
I don't know, just something to think about. Again, like there's not like a right or wrong answer. That's just like something I would be thinking about maybe.
Yeah, totally. You can kind of articulate that a bit better. Because fire doesn't really have a fuzzy edge. It's actually a pretty crisp, usually. But yeah, you can look up a lot of like fire reference and stuff. See like how it would actually look. That's something I'm not even very good at, but I do agree with what Nathan says. I agree with Nathan. Like, I stand with like Nathan.
The colors are nice. The like the pose is cool. The anatomy is good. Yeah, these are just like little things that could make it pop a little more.
Yeah, because I think when you overuse soft shading, you get kind of a fuzzed out feeling. So you need some like, it's the contrast between hard angle and soft angle that makes things really start to pop. But awesome work.
Yeah,
I think
cool D&D character. Aarakocra monk, hell yeah. Flying and martial arts. You kidding me?
All right, let's get another one. I'm seeing one here from the Elegant Raven. Let's save that.
Some real cool lighting effects in this one.
Housewife Killing Abusive Husband. So freaking get him. All right, here we go. We've got the Elegant Ravens piece here, which, like Nathan said, very cool lighting with the slats from the window.
Oh yeah, back to the. Sorry, I'm just reading chat. People like we're talking about fire effects and like looking up reference. Like look at some stuff Karina's made if you want to see some like good fire effects.
Karina's really good at fire.
Yeah, her fire.
It's really stylized, fire. But it's also just, I don't know. It just rips. It just rips.
Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt, but
that's fine.
Any opportunity to shout out Karina, I will take.
Yeah, for sure. So really cool mood on this piece and really cool lighting from the window over here.
Photoshop is it's in a mood.
It's in a mood. It's
in
doing,
a bit of a mood
it's
today.
Doing me a little issue. And I'm not happy about it.
Photoshop is the third host of the stream, and they're being a little bit of a rascal today.
Yeah. Right off the bat, first thing I notice is anatomy proportion issues. Specifically, the first thing I notice is the length of this arm. Let me make this a little lighter, actually, so we can see. Versus the length of this arm. Mm-hmm. Where these forearms are, they should be both approximately the same sort of length and width at this time. Just because of the angle that you have them both at. They're both kind of like this.
Yeah.
And they're both facing you directly. So if I'm turned more like this, then yeah, this one looks smaller. But she's facing us like this, with one hand here and one hand holding an object like this. So you did actually reflect, which is good, the sort of foreshortening here I saw you coming at, versus the versus this one receding, which that's really good to consider. I think the only thing is because they're in like the same position, they should kind of be vaguely the same length.
Yeah.
And we'll get the head going here at an angle, and the ear. Good job on the facial proportions. Could maybe, even if you wanted to tilt the features back a little more.
Yeah, because it looks like we're sort of below.
Yeah, because we're kind of below.
Based on the rest of the proportions, like it seems like we're looking up at her.
So we have more of a up the nose sort of look here. Maybe something like, it's not exactly this, but you know what I'm saying. And then the mouth would be kind of a little higher up as well. Make the ear go down a bit more. Let's see what else we got. We got the neck, which I think is looking pretty good.
And yeah, Elegant Raven, if you feel weird about proportions, like that's just something that you can practice.
Yeah, proportions are really easy to practice. So it just takes doing it.
Look at bodies in poses and see how like if you have like a sense of like how big things are supposed to be in relation to one another, it like just helps with posing in general.
Yeah, totally. And also I see that, you were going for sort of a up angle here, like a low angle shot.
Yeah.
But I don't think the perspective fully pans out in the drawing itself.
Right.
So it kind of makes it look like the upper body is really small compared to the lower body.
Right. You'd want the that sort of belt or like sash thing angled the other way.
The other way. Because if we're below, then the cylinders, you got to think about the cylinders again. The belt would be like this, and the ribbon would be showing higher up. Because you're looking at it from, imagine if you have like a can of soup with a label on it, right? Like if this was a beautiful can of soup. We'll do an example here.
A beautiful can of soup.
Well, because it has a nice bow.
Yeah.
Can of soup with a bow.
I love to put a bow on all of my cans of soup.
If you took this can of soup and you put it on a table and then you got down low, what you're gonna see instead is this angle will come up. This angle will come up. You'll see the underside of it a little bit if you're on a clear table. And then following the trajectory set by these borders, the belt would be doing the same thing.
Right. So you got that on the underside of the dress.
Yeah, you did get it on the underside of the dress. That's the exact perfect like soup. It's all soup.
Everything is soup. If there's one thing you take away from this stream, it's that everything is soup.
Yeah, and then if you were looking down on it, obviously it's going to be the opposite situation, depending on the angle that you're working with. So here's soup at all angles. And then I think it's just an issue of, you did good with like vanishing points here. I can tell you had a vanishing point that you were working with.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it entirely, no, it does. It does. Yeah, it's like right here-ish. So yeah, that's very good. It might even have benefited you to have a second vanishing point to do 2-point perspective. So you could have one going this way, up here somewhere.
Oh yeah, really up that up angle.
Because then you would know the proper angles for some of the other things, like the table here.
Right, and the door. The door even could be like, that doorway would be like going away from us.
Exactly. The doorway would then be sort of reflecting this same view. So then you really
so much more dynamic.
you gotta shift, if you're gonna shift the perspective for a low angle, you gotta shift all the perspective. Having the doorway be straight up and down sort of betrays your concept here a little bit. So yeah, if you had an angle like this, and then her body's going like this, and then the table's going like that, and then
it's like POV, you are abusive husband who just got murdered.
Yeah, this door down here would also be following that, and then the vent too. Like everything would be following this line for this vanishing point that's like up here somewhere. And you can actually set up those vanishing points using like the pen tool, but God, I'm really bad at the pen tool.
Refer back to
yeah, there we go. There's one.
2 months ago's Julia perspective draw class.
Connect that up
for vanishing point stuff.
And then we can, I believe, move. Oh no.
No.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Not like that.
Not like that.
No, you gotta use the now you gotta go to the
I got it. You hold control. Clearly I'm not, the expert at the pen tool, but you can set up vanishing points this way. Look it up. But hopefully you can kind of see and tell in this little sketch I did how this dynamic angle will change the feeling of the whole piece. And make sure if you're angling a character like this that you still have the proportions on lock and you don't accidentally lengthen their body, which is kind of what happened here. They got stretched a bit upwards based on where the legs go.
Right.
So this person is too long. Probably, I would say, I feel like I'm getting too much information over here on the screen.
It's okay.
We're just going to erase some of it. I would say, and this is just me sort of doing a quick maybe on this.
Yeah. Everything, again, these are just tips, but yeah, you'd want.
So if we're just trying to figure out sort of how tall they would be.
Right.
Because you're going to have legs like this, looking up. So maybe something closer to this. As far as their actual, that looks proportional to me, roughly. I tend to squat everything though, up a little bit. I always go squat. So they'd probably be a bit longer than this realistically, but this at least
depends on the as long as it's consistent. Like if everything's squat, then it's fine. You just want to if you're going to squat it up, you want it to be squatted up consistently.
And you wouldn't see much of that shoulder probably.
Yeah, I think that's correct.
And then this one coming down. Drawing's just kind of fun sometimes.
Yeah. And this is just, it is a cool, it's like a cool composition, a cool like concept.
Yeah.
And like we haven't talked at all about like the color or lighting of this piece, because like that's all really cool.
Yeah, for sure. You got the mood down.
The underdrawing could be a little bit more refined.
And like we said, just practice proportion using reference, and that'll get you there. Do a lot of gesture drawing.
Oh yeah, we're getting closer to the Miku pose with the new way you drew the legs.
Oh yeah. The only other thing I would probably say is don't be afraid to go even darker with the dark portions.
Yeah.
Like if this is going to be your lightest color, and then your darkest color is this one, which is pretty dark, but you can go even darker because the hallway that's like the light's hitting from this side, this part of the hallway here would be super dark comparatively.
Yeah, you could even, because you made the underside of the table black and you made the underside of her dress black, you could make that hallway black too, I think.
Yeah, I'm just going to highlight some of it. And it looks like there's some light coming out of this door back here, so we'll leave that alone. You did really well, though, with like this being darker than the ceiling and then this wall over here being lit. That's good. You got the light source down, which I think is really good. You know where it's coming from and you know what you're doing with it. But also the upside to sort of darkening this up a bit more is it makes the character pop more. Actually, we'll do, did I do it another layer? Yeah, okay. Yeah, so we'll just give it a little bit of that. And then, yeah, as you can see, it makes the head of the character jump out more compared to the background, because this is so bright and this is so dark. So
I might even add like one little shine on that one eye that's in shadow.
Oh yeah, I love that idea, Nathan. Nathan, I love that idea. This eye would definitely have a glint of some kind.
Like one little bip.
Like something like that.
Yeah.
Or like right around the pupil maybe.
Yeah. Usually that's where
it's a little fuzzy because the resolution was reduced, but yeah. So hopefully something that's like all helpful advice. Elegant Raven. Again, really great job.
Yeah, and really cool. I love the way you did the like blinds, the lighting from the blinds on the skin, and like that looks great.
Yeah, that looks super cool
mood,
and really great like color choices too. The whole like color vibe of it's really cohesive. So I think you're doing an awesome work. It's just with little things like considering the perspective of the whole piece. Don't be afraid to do 2-point perspective. And if you aren't sure how to do it, again, YouTube is your friend on that. I mean, Julia did a class on perspective.
Julia did
But there's lots of like shorter videos too, where people will just run it down and show you how to do it. And like, that's how I learn most everything I do. So yeah, great work. We got more time.
You can even just like take a photo of a room from the angle that you're trying to do, and just like trace the lines and see where they go, and like you'll notice that like the vertical lines are not parallel from a low angle. They'll be converging at some point.
Oh, hello, Olive. Olive is here. Get the tail right in my face. Love that.
Like I always come back to like when I first started at College Humor, if I didn't know how to draw a thing, I would just take a photograph of like myself in that pose and just like use that as reference. Like a lot of hand stuff or like face stuff or room stuff, like you just take a photo, trace the photo, see what, like how it works, get a sense of it, and then like incorporate it into your art. Because like, yeah, there's plenty of reference online, but sometimes the best reference is just like a pic you take yourself, because you know exactly what you're trying to get.
I want to say I fully agree with Nathan. Taking pictures is a great way to do it. And then you have your own real life reference that you've made. Go on up. There you go. Gotta let Olive get in her spot.
And if you have a buddy who will post for you, even better.
Next one. This is Carp did this.
Another bird person.
Said, here is a thing I did recently that I actually tried hard at. Well, I think it paid off. It's really like a fun drawing.
Yeah.
I love the sort of vibe and like attitude of it. Let's take a look. And proportionally, I feel like you did a pretty good job.
Yeah.
I don't really have any immediate proportional issues that I see because it looks like stylistic to me. But we will still redline it because that's how we discover these things.
Yes.
Obviously, it's not going to be to human proportion standards because it's a bird.
Right. So
this
is what I was talking about with the other one, where like if you wanted to go full bird head,
yeah,
with it would be more like this, and then you don't have a chin to worry about because it's just like beak into neck.
So yeah, let's see. We got this arm here. I think also having the whole like feathers is helpful because it will mask a lot of like where joints are supposed to go. So I'm just kind of guessing at where the joints would be based on where they should be. Got a belt, got a leg here. And I like this kind of like almost like Wind Waker-esque proportions where the legs taper down and become these like little bitty feet.
Yeah.
I just always thought that's nice.
That's just nice.
So let's see. This one kind of comes out, a little bird haunch. I think the thing I see straight off the bat is something we all fall prey to, what I like to call the mean lean.
Yeah.
We just got a bit of a mean lean. Sort of his gravity is tilted this way.
You didn't flip your canvas, and that's okay.
That is okay. But if this bird were standing,
canvas flip.
Yeah, we'll do one real quick. If this bird were standing for real, he would be falling over. Or I should say they would be falling over. I don't know this bird's gender. Shouldn't assume that.
Never assume a bird's gender.
Never assume a bird's gender. So we'll do a flip, and then it should make it, yeah. It makes it very apparent.
It's doing a little bit of a lean.
Flip.
That's okay.
And you can look at it on yours
sometimes...
too. See, you flip it, and it's like, oh, that bird is leaning.
Yeah.
And sometimes you have to flip in order to see it, because I didn't even really notice it first. Like we'll flip it back. There's a shortcut for flip, right?
Mm.
Isn't there a shortcut for flip?
Probably.
I think if you do
canvas flip horizontal, way it was.
Well, there's also like a different
it was underlined.
H. Really? It's just H? No, H is hand. They lied to me.
Is it command
it doesn't
H?
matter. It's not important. But yeah, flip your canvas during the sketch phase.
Yeah.
I drew something recently. I was drawing a portrait of someone for an upcoming episode, and I drew like the whole thing, and then I flipped the canvas, and I was like, oh my God. I was like, how did I not realize that the ears were at completely different heights?
Yeah.
Like the whole thing was so messed up, and I had no idea.
I don't know why our brain does that. Like you get so used to looking at something, and then like flipping it just like shows you all the
stuff. You flip the bird, and then immediately you start seeing things like
you flip the bird.
You flip the bird.
You flip the bird.
But like when I flip, first thing I notice is the lean becomes very apparent. Second thing I notice is the difference in the wings. This one comes way further out, and this one comes way further in. The wings actually sort of follow gravity.
Yeah.
But based on the angle that the bird is facing, his body's turned kind of this way a little bit. This wing should be smaller. This wing should be coming out, and this wing should be coming more in like this.
Unless you're going for like a foreshortened look on that near wing, but like you would need to indicate that with like your line work.
Yeah.
Because that's something I like to do sometimes, is like have it look like if I have like my near hand is taking up, if you were just to draw this flat, like it's taking up less space. but like you would need to indicate that like it's coming at you with some sort of making the feathers that are coming towards us look like they're getting bigger.
Yeah.
And then have it be different from the ones that are sort of going away from us, have them like more fanned out that way, sort of. Which is like that's a way you could do it too. But if it's just supposed to be like flat, then yeah, the one coming like nearer to us would be taking up more space.
Yes, I agree with Nathan. I'll also say that there's ways to fix the lean before it becomes too late. In your sketch phase, if you're sketching and you flip the canvas, notice a lean. One good way is you can do image adjustments. No, image edit.
Yeah. Edit transform.
I have to rasterize this layer. That's the issue here.
Here you go.
You can do edit transform.
Do you not rasterize it? There
Am I losing my mind? Transform path.
Still wants you to whatever.
The path doesn't.
Try rasterizing it better.
Hello. There's not a path. There's not a path. There's not a path. I want to edit this.
What is happening?
Can I edit this?
Sometimes Photoshop.
All right.
What is?
All right.
Just make it a new layer. Just make a fully new layer.
We're just gonna make a new layer.
Anytime I'm having I'll just make like a new layer and then just merge. Like I'll make a blank layer and merge whatever layer I'm working on with it, and like that tricks it enough.
I'm still seeing transform path.
Just make a blank layer. Try this. Make a blank layer and then merge those layers. And see if that does it.
I'm gonna have to restart Photoshop.
It's lost its mind. All right. Well, that was my attempt. How cool would it have been if that had worked though?
It's lost its whole mind. I haven't saved any of these files. Do we need them?
That's okay.
They're kind of crazy. Just gonna delete them.
Try again.
We'll open a new file.
Oh, look at all our anime histories.
We'll put in the bird. We will edit. Here we go.
Yeah.
Now we're back. Okay.
Yeah. Sometimes it's just like, no, I'm not doing. I'm only on transform path right now.
Yeah. It's fine.
It's fine. Everything's fine. No one's upset.
Also, just goes to show you that we don't know everything about Photoshop. I know I did something that made that happen, but I don't know what it was. People in chat seem to know what it was, but it doesn't matter.
Command A, Command T. Okay.
I don't know what those commands even do. It's not important. I fixed it.
We fixed it.
So transform skew, and you can go
skew.
Just give him a little slide.
There you go.
Now he's standing better. A thing you could also do is if you didn't want to skew, you can we can get this leg to come out more.
Yeah, because like you can have someone be leaning, you just want him to not look like he's about to fall. They're about to fall over.
Yes. So
it's
this
like
would be a more.
The lean is like dynamic and cool as long as the legs are positioned in such a way that they're not about to fall over. Or maybe it's a very windy day and like the way their wings are out, they're like braced against the wind.
It could be, but we don't know. We have to just judge based on what we've seen here.
Yeah.
That's all my bird thoughts. Just be careful about center of gravity.
Yeah.
Make sure to rotate your canvas. And I think in general, like the only other thing is like sort of line hesitancy that I see, but that will go away just with time. That's just a muscle memory practice thing. So the more you draw, the more confident your lines will get.
I really like the face.
Yeah, the face is very nice. We're gonna go do another one. We got time.
If you're drawing a bird, remember, flip the bird.
Okay, I've got one from It's Spooky Kabuki. I don't really have any notes for this one, honestly. I'm just gonna put it because it's.
Is it them? Oh, it's those good flamingos. This is a paint. This is just a painting. This is just a nice painting of some flamingos.
This is a nice painting of some
Let's
flamingos.
just enjoy it for a sec.
We'll just enjoy this. Hold on, let's. Here we go. Let's just get it. Here we go.
Look at that.
Just gonna put that up there.
That's just lovely.
This is the kind of thing where, because it's so stylistic, it's like so fuzzy and painterly. I can't really critique it. The flamingos look good. They look nice. But if there were like issues, I don't really know where they'd be because of the style, which is not a bad thing. It's just a nice piece. It's just nice. Yeah. It's just nice flamingos.
Nice flamingos.
If you gave us a piece with more like anatomy and a crisper look to it, then it'd be easier to critique. But this kind of falls in the territory of like, this is just art. This is just art. I can't critique this.
They're just nice.
It's just nice. I'm just having a nice time.
Maybe from like a color perspective. Oh, bless you. From like a color perspective, I don't know. I'd be interested to see like the background slightly desaturated. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, but it's kind of like a dealer's choice.
The bright green. Yeah, it's interesting. Like, I like it.
I would put this on my wall.
Did you? Is this a digital painting or did you just paint this? I can't.
It looks digital to me.
Yeah, I guess.
I would say it's definitely digital.
It's interesting.
Would be my guess. Ian Vermeer said the cropping maybe.
Oh sure.
Yeah, but it kind of like, again, it could be. It's a thing that I could see it as being intentional.
Yeah, it looks like some flamingos just like photobombed you.
Yeah. That it's kind of a little zoomed in and they're kind of at weird places on the canvas. It kind of works for me. So I need to see a larger body of work to critique to know if it's like, a cropping mistake or like a compositional mistake or a compositional choice. It's like, who even knows? Who even knows? They're just good flamingos.
Yeah.
That's all I got to say about it.
That's a really good Bob Grannon. Just gonna quote you. Almost all art critique is about closing the gap between intention and product. So when there's no gap, there's no critique. And since we don't know the intention here, it's just like, if the intention was to draw some nice flamingos, you did it.
And I'll say like, they're like touching the edge in like some almost tangential ways, which again, I said could be intentional. But if we like break this sort of down into like the rule of thirds for compositional purposes, it's gonna look like that, and then it's gonna look like this.
Like, look at that.
We can see we got focus point here, focus point here. This one's right on this line down here. Like all the elements are sort of in good spots, but they're also like distant enough away from sort of the main places where you want to put focal points that it feels like intentional to me.
Yeah.
But
this feels like something you could see up, like hanging up at like a doctor's office or something, and just be like, yeah,
that's good flamingos.
That's just some good flamingos. Puts me at ease. I'm not thinking about my tonsils anymore. Just thinking about these good flamingos.
I gotta flip the birds. These birds will look fine.
Yeah,
I'll flip them, but
we do need to flip the birds. Yeah,
they're still just flamingos this way.
They're still just they're flamingos any way you flip them.
No matter which way you turn them, still flamingos. Okay, let's do maybe one more. Got like 3 minutes left. We got one here. Oh, there's so many that I didn't get to.
Draz does not want hers critiqued.
I would never critique Draz for any reason.
She just posted it to show some style stuff.
We'll just do this one from Lucy here.
Yeah.
Lucy, I'm home. Let me save it. I think it'll be bigger.
It'll be bigger.
Because I feel like there's a lot of good stuff going on here. And
I love the colors in this one.
Wham.
So we've had 3 birds, 2 knives, and a Miku.
3 birds, 2 knives, and a Miku. That's a day for you. That's a stream.
Drawing either have bird, knife, or Miku.
So this one,
yeah,
like Nathan said, very cool colors. I really like the arm and shadow here.
Yeah, that looks great.
Yeah, and then the light source, you can tell there's like a light source coming from like at it. There's shadow here, and then you're getting some rim light from the purple, like sort of neon purple plant decorations in the background, which is very cool. I think like basically the first thing I would jump in on is just straight up anatomy and proportion.
Yeah.
Work is like where you should devote your interests here.
Yeah, because you clearly have a good understanding of like color and shading.
Yeah,
like,
you're already like getting some good work on that.
This particular style of shading, at least.
Totally. But if we do like if we make this a head, and again, it's one of those things where I always try to explain that like even if you're doing a cartoony style, you still need to understand the rules of actual head anatomy. Mm-hmm. Because cartoons are just a simplification of real life. They're not a totally different thing.
And like if you're gonna break those rules, it needs to be like intentional.
Yeah.
Like you can, I don't know. There's something about like, because there are plenty of cartoon characters that have like weird proportions, but like it's always like serving a purpose, and it always feels intentional when it's like done well.
Yes. So I'm going to follow the jawline you've sort of left me here and kind of go with an angle that like they're turning their head and they're looking basically straight at us at a 3/4 view. Mm-hmm. So we'll go with that. I need to make this a little less.
Yeah.
So I can show here. So we can even have this little angle, slight tilt to the head.
Yeah.
And you always want to separate into sort of these thirds. And it depends on the proportions, but I'm just kind of going to follow basic proportional rules for this. Sure. This top line would be typically... My cat's vomiting.
Oh.
My cat is vomiting right now, right behind me.
I'm so sorry.
This top line would be approximately where the hairline will be.
Is it Olive or Joy vomiting?
It's Olive.
Oh.
So this would be kind of where the hair comes out of. So we could put a hairline here. And with the horns, it works a little differently. So we'll have it like dip to there. This line is kind of like where your eyes are going to be. And with the angle of your eyes, I know you wanted to have sort of like an angry, aggressive inward turn to the eyes. But they do, even so, need to follow the lines of... So basically, if I were going to do like a standard eye, it would be like this and it would sit on the line, right? Mm-hmm. So you can still do this sort of downturned eye. You just still need to work within these lines. So you see I just rotated a bit.
Yeah.
Then because of the angle, the nose would actually be further to the left because of the turn. And then we would have another eye here that would be a little more squished on account of the turn of the head.
The turn of the head.
And this is all stuff that you'll learn just from like practicing it and doing this kind of thing. We'll get some hair there. This would go straight into the eyebrow. The eyebrow would probably be a little higher in this case. And then we'll have one over here just to sort of get a baseline here. And we want to get, they've kind of got the lidded look. So we'll put some lids on. Get the eyeball in like this. This line here is going to be sort of where the nose stops, the base of the nose. And then we'll have a mouth in between this line and the bottom of the chin, typically. And the corners of the mouth will line up with the pupils. So if you go straight down from the pupil, this is going to be a corner. This is going to be a corner. And then straight down sort of from the nose is going to be where the center of the mouth is. So we can get sort of a look like this. And I'll get rid of some of these lines so we can see better. Okay, then probably the jaw is going to be a little too thin. You want to make sure you have enough room to accommodate the teeth. And the ear will go like the base of the ear, sort of right here. And then it will come down to this base of the nose line. So it'll be something like that. And then the hair is a little bit matte to the head right here. So I would probably just bring it up a little bit. Yeah.
Pump it up a little.
So that it really gives you the sense of like the skull. And then we can kind of mimic this look here. And it would probably be shown over there a bit as well. Horns. The horns are good.
Horns are good.
Get those horns in there. Next thing would be the neck. The neck's gonna, at this angle, would come from sort of the base of the ear.
Yeah.
Where it would attach to the head. And then this angle is fine here for sort of a thin neck. I think you've fallen prey to a thing that I often fall prey to as well, which is that you made the head way too big for the body.
This is a big head, friend.
So this body would go probably down like this and like this. The shoulder would be much bigger.
And again, like you can again, it can be like a stylistic choice to make the head big compared to the body. Like if you go back to that original Miku, but like
Miku.
This one, it feels a little too big.
Yeah, I would even nudge this eye over a bit. And this is a lot of what I do when I'm drawing. I'll get like an initial anatomy and then I'll look at it and then I'll say, okay, what's not working here? And then nudge things around. There'd be some cheeks there. This would probably be a little straighter.
Yeah.
Shirt. Think about how sort of the shirt would fit based on what kind of shirt it is. So these are just like little tips. Probably the hair and head would be even bigger, I imagine. You probably actually see it back behind.
Oftentimes, and like, you know, obviously like the best thing to do is just like practice your anatomy and proportions, but like oftentimes I'll draw the whole thing and then just like area select the whole head and shrink it, because usually I just make the head bigger. It's that thing where it's like it's got a lot of details, so like it's bigger in my mind.
Totally.
And then I just shrink it, and that's a little cheat you can do if you finish your sketch and you're just like something feels off. Oftentimes shrinking the head
that'll help a lot. Definitely. We'll just
you're almost always gonna be drawing that head too big.
Bring this back up. Move this over.
That's something I still do.
I still do it too in almost every drawing. But you can see sort of looking at these two, and the horns actually I think would be, this one would be more forwards, and this one would be a little bit more like this.
Yeah.
These are all things you'll learn through practice, and like I've said before, one of the best ways to practice is to use reference. Look at that reference, redline it, try to see how it works based on sort of the fundamentals. Look up YouTube on like fundamentals of the head proportions. There's some really good videos on like Proco and a ton of channels that will lay it all out for you even more clearly than I have here. And then you can put those things into practice and try to like mimic what you see artists who are further along in their path, what they do, and try to mimic that. But I think when we do like a sort of side-by-side here, my little redraw of your head proportions makes it look more like three-dimensional, like it's an actual head that's turning. And it's not perfect by any means. Nothing I do is perfect, but...
Nothing anyone does is perfect.
But it's got a three-dimensionality to it, and it looks...
Except when Julia draws eggs. Those are perfect.
Julia's eggs are perfect, yeah.
Yeah.
And then we get the knife in there too, of course. It's, you know, there it is. Holding up the knife.
Now I really want to see this drawing you've done finished with that shading and color scheme. Like obviously we're out of time on the stream. We're over time on the stream, but yeah. Like
if I had more time.
In my mind, I'm imagining it, and it's rad.
If I had more time, I would definitely do it. Anyway, I hope that was helpful. What was, I've forgotten the name of the person. Lucy. I hope all of that information makes sense. I don't know if you're actually in chat right now, but if you are, I hope that all makes sense to you. And mostly the advice that I want to have to everyone is to, you know, keep on drawing. Like everything we've seen here has like a ton of really good aspects to it, and like a ton of promise, and like areas where you're already excelling.
Yeah.
And a lot of drawing is just about like shoring up those areas that you know less about and getting those sort of in line. So you have the biggest set of skills that you can work with when you're setting
and like you draw. all of you, like, just like, thanks for being brave enough to share your art and get it critiqued. Like that's no small feat to like let us talk about and draw over your stuff, but like it's very helpful. I'm sure everybody learned from getting to see that, so thank you for doing that.
I mean, I think it's one of the most helpful things you can get, because you get to see in your own work how it could have improved, and it starts to train your brain to look for that, to look for it to be, you'll start to know what looks right more easily, and then be able to see sort of the difference in what you drew and what you are aiming for. And that helps you get the result that you're looking for a little bit more easily. So, but all it takes is time and practice, and the more you do it, the better you'll get. And I think you're already doing a great job.
Yeah.
That's what I have to say.
There's a lot of great, all the stuff we didn't get to, like, again, it's just like, it's all great.
Yeah.
Like y'all are doing, just by choosing to make something, you're already like so far along, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like you made it. Like you did the thing. Like, hell yeah. And keep doing it.
That's the golden rule, is that you have to keep making things in order to get better at making things, and it's literally the only necessary step. If you're not making things, you won't get better at it. And you know, that's just how it is. But
that's just how it is.
Thank you everybody for watching the stream. Thank you for your support on Patreon.
Yeah.
And we'll be back on Monday with another Drawfee stream.
Yeah.
And maybe we'll do another stream like this, another critique stream, because we got a lot more work we didn't get to.
Yeah.
So I'd love to do another critique stream in the future. So
I just feel good after these. I don't know. Like, it just like, it feels good knowing so many people are trying it and just like making stuff, and everyone's was so different. Like,
yeah.
They were all so good in their own ways. I love it.
Yeah. Awesome work, everyone. And we will see you next time. Goodbye.
We're sorry.
Sorry. Bye. It is ended.
Great. That was really good.